Buddy, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Today I have something really special for you. When I went out this morning to collect some flowers to paint from you, I got a little bit carried away because everything is blooming so beautifully in the gardens today. I love this time of year, the late summer. I plant a lot of plants, especially for this time of year, because I like to be out of doors and looking around at everything. And so my garden is going strong. And I thought what I would do is collect you a little rainbow bouquet and show you how to make an easy floral wreath just using 3 colors. So let me show you what I found in the garden today. Here's the bouquet, and I think you can see I've got a full spectrum here. Get my yellow in there, okay? So I have here a yellow mustard flower. I also have some yellow goldenrod down here. These are the Rebecchias. I've got some calendula over here, and also tucked under here I've got some jewelweed. I don't know if you can see that so well, but there's a little bit of it. Okay. Then I've got this beautiful rosy colored heuchera. I've got this magenta phlox. This is a purple coneflower. There's some Joe Pye weed here. And this is an amaranth. I've got a red violet geranium. This is a blue lobelia, and I have a beautiful blue hibiscus. Isn't that amazing? Nature is so miraculous. So what I'd like to do is just a quick splashy little painting just to capture the color and just a little bit of the indication of the different flower forms. So I'm going to put this aside where I can see it for inspiration. And I have a little piece of hot press watercolor paper, and I've just torn the edges so it's has a nice texture. And I've got this little glass, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to trace a circle towards the top of the page. This is going to be a vertical. Zoom you in a little bit. Okay, and I'm just going to go around the edge, get that centered on there, and I'm leaving enough space at the bottom so I can add a sentiment. So I'm just very lightly drawing a circle. Okay, and I can see I didn't do so well on the centering that, so I'm just going to bring it over to the right a little bit. There we go. So it does not have to be perfect because we're going to be going in and out of that shape. But I want to make sure that that line is not too dark. So what I'm looking for here is my kneaded rubber eraser, and I'm just going to take away some of that excess graphite so we don't have too dark of a line. This is just to guide the arrangement of flowers. All right, so I also have a palette off to the side here. So I'm just going to be painting with yellow, red, and blue today, just 3 colors. That's all you need to make. So isn't it amazing? So here is our beautiful rainbow of flowers. And you can mix all of those colors with just these 3. Let me see if I can get everything in on the screen for you. Look at that. I think I think you can see the possibilities here. All right. This is exciting. All right, so I'm wetting my brush, and I'm just going to put a little wash in the shape of the circle. This is just pure water. And now I'm going to take some yellow and drop it in over here. I'll add a little red. Some blue. So that's the beginning. Now I can mix the red and the blue together and get into my violets. I can do the same with the, making sure my brush is a little dirty here. Let me clean that off. Okay, now I'm taking some yellow and I'm mixing it with red. And then over here, the yellow and the blue for some green. So there's our rainbow. Now I can add more water and just kind of soften those edges. And that's the basis for our design today. I think I'll just let this bleed right off the sides of the paper. Okay. I'm just going to blot up a little of that excess moisture. So now I'm looking at my flowers. And I can begin to get some of the flower shapes with the tip of my brush. Just a soft impression. That's the amaranth. We've got our echinacea. So I can begin to indicate some of the shapes of the petals. And then this beautiful heuchera, which is also called the coral bells. And this color really is just gorgeous. That's a little too wet there for that. So I'm just going to blot that up. Try again with those little shapes. Now I've got some calendula here. These are these wonderful bright orange flowers. And I grow calendula in my vegetable garden, and it self-seeds readily. And you can make a lovely oil with the flowers by infusing them in some olive oil that you can use on your skin. It's very nice for your skin. Now up here we've got our Rebecca, the Black-Eyed Susan. Get my blue lobelia started over here. Just little shapes. And my mustard flower, sort of a greenish yellow, is going to be over in here somewhere. Pink phlox. Okay, so we're starting to get some interesting shape variations. Now I can go back into this painting and drop in some more color. So I'm mixing a stronger kind of a blue-violet mixture. And I'll just add a couple of spots of that here and there. I didn't get my Joe Pie started over here. Let's get a little of those fuzzy flower tops. And that has a very rich shadow. There we go. All right, now our excuse me, our purple coneflower has a nice dark center. So I can just put a little indication of that. And the same for the Rebecca over here. A couple of those. And I can also add a couple of leaves here and there. So I'm going to mix up a nice medium green. And I can just put a couple of leaf shapes here and there. Okay. While those leaves are still wet, I can take a slightly darker mixture. And just give those greens a little bit of a variation. Okay. Now while this is still wet, I'm just going to put this aside to dry a little bit while I get my card base ready. So I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This is a slightly off-white creamy color, and I like to use this with the watercolors because watercolor paper generally is in the same kind of family as that. Now I can add a colored mat to this, or I could just mount it as it is. I kind of like the way that looks, but I just want to show you the way different colors affect the picture. So I've got a package here of neutral. Let me see if I can fan these out so you can see them. So this is a variety pack of neutral colors, and there are 10 different colors in here. So I've got some cherry cobbler, some night of navy, soft suede, gray, basic gray. There's I'm missing one. There should be a dark in here someplace. Here it is. So there's early espresso. I've got crumb cake. I've got Sahara sand. So this is a really nice assortment. So if I bring my painting back in here, I can just sort of see what these different tonalities do to the color, because color changes depending on what you put next to it. Color is a natural phenomenon. It's something that happens in the air between the object and your retina. So here's a nice, cool blue. This is the night of navies, and that really makes the yellows and the oranges pop. Now if I use a reddish tone, that's really going to make the blues and the violets pop. Those are both terrific options. But I think I'm going to go with something a little more delicate. So here is, excuse me, this is the Sahara sand. So I can see what that looks like here. And I kind of like that very soft, just a little bit of an edge. Let's see how something a little bit darker makes it look. So this color is called crumb cake. If you're interested in getting any of these colors or one of these card stock packs, I'll have all the information below, and you can get that through my online store. And I kind of like the crumb cake. Crumb cake is such a great color. I always have plenty of that on hand because I do use it quite a bit. So there's the strong color. And there's just a little bit of a edge. So I'm gonna cut out a piece of the crumb cake so I can look at it better on the card. So let me get these things out of the way. All right, and I'm going to use my paper trimmer. This tool is absolutely indispensable. If you don't have a paper trimmer, you need to get one. Without a paper trimmer, you would, in order to get a perfectly square edge, you would be using rulers and maybe a May line on a drafting table or a triangle, and this just makes things so much quicker and easier, and you never have to worry about the shape being untrue or out of alignment. So I'm going to, let's just measure. So the artwork measures about 3.5 by about 4 1/8. So if I cut this just a tiny bit bigger, and I may change this, but let's just see what 3 1/4 looks like. 4 1/4. That doesn't look right. I think I measured wrong. Hold on. I did measure wrong, but at least I can see. Yeah, I would think I would want that a little bit smaller. Let me measure again, see how I went wrong with that. Oh, I see. 4 3/4. Measure twice, cut once, folks. All right, so let's go back to our 3 1/2, was it? Let me see. Right. Okay. So 3 1/2. This time I'm just going to go to 3 5/8, and then measure this at 4 7/8 and see how that looks. You know, because the watercolor paper is torn down to an irregular shape, I'm going to have to do a little bit of fine-tuning for this. I still messed it up. I really do like the tone on tone. You know, I think I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it tone on tone, and I'm going to pop it up on dimensionals so that I get a little bit of shadow around the edge. What does everybody think? Let me see if I've got any suggestions from the audience here. I really do like the tone on tone. I see Carol. Carol, what do you think? Do you like the colored matte, or do you like the paper as is? Okay, well, while I'm deciding, I think the first one, she says, this one, like that. All right, now the watercolor paper should be dry enough now to enable me to get a little more definition and texture in some of these flowers. So I'm going to I'm going to switch to a smaller brush too. So that the brush I had been using was a size 7, and now I have a 4. And I'm going to take some orange and get some of the calendula petals. She says both are good. Yeah, that's how I feel about it too. It's hard to make a decision, but maybe after I add a little more detail it'll be easier to decide. So there's our calendulas. Now here are the coral bells, and they're just like beautiful little lanterns. You can get those started. The centers of the echinacea are very spiky, so I can start to pick up some of those spiky shapes just with the tip of my brush. There we go. And I can pick out a couple of the flower petals. Here and there. There we go. And I have my beautiful red amaranth, which I'm starting to lose in the, get that back. You see, so it doesn't take much, just a couple of little strokes. Now, if anybody's interested, if you'd like to do more of this and paint along with me, coming up on September 17th, there's going to be a live Zoom class. Everyone's invited. It's absolutely free. It's being brought to you by the Scoville Memorial Library. And I will be demonstrating how you can make beautiful little flower forms with just a couple of colors and a few strokes. And I'll also have some card kits available if you're interested in purchasing a card kit so that you can paint along at home. You can do that too. And all that information is on my website. So just go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and look for beautiful watercolor note cards. And there is a registration button. Excuse me. That you can click on, and that will tell you all about the different options that you have for participating with the class. And I would love to have you. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tell your friends. There's no limit to the amount of people that can join, and you can join from anywhere in the world. And it's going to be September 17th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I want to get some of this beautiful red violet in the flocks here. That's a little too dark. There we go. Let me get that. And I'm just going to add some stems here and there. And that's about it. I don't think we need to do much more for this little note card. Get that a little richer over there. Our geraniums. and maybe a little bit darker blue in the beautiful blue lobelia. Now this is a mix of both garden flowers and wild flowers. So the blue lobelia is a fantastic native plant that we have growing here in New England. And it readily self-seeds, so I'm very happy to have it growing all over my garden. And then these little mustard, bright yellow, green yellow mustard flowers also self-seed. They're all throughout my vegetable garden. And let's see if we can get a shape of one of these jewelweeds. So the jewelweed is really a beautiful little plant. It's also called the touch-me-not, and it just has this kind of a little witch's hat shape, and it's bright orange, and the hummingbirds just love it. And this is another wild plant that you often find growing in moist areas along brooks and stream beds and shady plant places. So I think that's pretty good for now. Just a little more petal shape over here. All right. So now, time to make a decision. It's a tough decision. I usually am pretty speedy about making decisions. I think I'm going to just keep it plain this time, just nice and simple. And instead of using the liquid glue, I'm going to use these little dimensionals. It's a little bit damp, so I'm just going to hold off on that for a second. I'm going to stamp a sentiment. So let's see. This is kind of cute. I like this hello friend. I like this, so much love for you. Let's do that one. I like the script, especially on that. Both these stamp sets are part of a special promotion right now. If you're interested in learning more, I'm going to have a link to it down below, but you can get both of them for free if you decide to join my team, which means that you get discounts, free classes, and all sorts of goodies. And I'm going to use crumb cake, which is that same color as the mat that I was thinking about using. And I'm going to get a little scrap of watercolor paper. So don't throw away your scraps. I keep mine in a plastic envelope. You can see all these little bits and pieces that are all useful for sentiments. So this one looks to be about the right size. Let's see if this works. That's perfect. Okay. So I'm just going to tap that in my ink pad, take a look to see which way is right side up. That wasn't very straight. Let's try it again. There we go. So I'm going to put dimensionals on the edges. And I'll put a couple in the middle. I'm trying not to touch the surface of the card where it's still damp. There we go. Peel off those little backings. This is tricky to do while the paper is still damp. If I wasn't filming, I would leave it to dry thoroughly and then come back to it. But I will try to be careful here. All right. And then with the sentiment, I'm just going to give that a little bit of a curl with my bone folder. A little bit of a wave, like so. And I want to add a little bit of a leaf peeking down at the bottom. So I'm just going to grab my brush. So easy to do. And just add a couple of little leaf shapes so that these poke through down below. And now I think what I'll do is I'll attach the sentiment with a couple of glue dots. So I'm just going to put one at the lower part of each side of the sentiment. Oops, it stuck to my finger. There we go. And then I'm just going to angle that across there so you see those little leaves peeking out below. So there's the card. Now there's lots you could do. If you wanted to add a little bit of a embellishment, you could add some linen thread. I like this a lot with the crumb cake ink. So I can double this up and make a little bow. Get that even. There we go. And I can just trim that tiny bit. Get that tightened up. And I'm going to add a glue dot to the back of that. And I'm going to, because this is kind of asymmetrical, I'm just going to put it on its end here. There we go. Move all this out of the way so you can see better. And that's our pretty little floral wreath in all the colors of the rainbow. So let's get our flowers back in here, our inspiration. There we go. Okay, folks, thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to sign up if you're interested for the free watercolor class coming up September 17th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I'd love to have you join us. You're welcome to join in with your watercolors, and your card making kits are available. All that information is at the website dandelioncottagedesign.com. Look for beautiful watercolor note cards, and I hope to see you there. So stay well, stay creative, and I will see you next time.